Welcome everyone to our third editing group stream. For those that are new, we are a small group of writers who just got through the 50,000 word NaNoWriMo challenge. And regardless of where we are in the process, we are going to work on editing because let's face it, first drafts are never pretty. And as a group, we do meet 2 times weekly for 1 hour in December, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central and Saturdays at 1 p.m. Central. All right, writers. For today, we are going to attack individual chapters. You'll still need your notes from your previous edit-ins, and you should have an outline of your plots and your outline of your character arcs. For our first prompt, you're going to spend 5 minutes reviewing the first chapter. Does it have a beginning, middle, and end? Does the beginning grab you from the first sentence? Well, let's find out. 5 minutes on the clock. All right. Finish up your words. And we are going to head on over to a break. All right, this part is really slow and tedious, but it is worth doing, right? So drink up your water, beverage of choice, enjoy Bunny Cam, or just say hi in the chat as we rest up. Our next prompt is much longer, so make sure that you're getting this in. I'm going to pop over, make sure, say hi. Aww. This is beautiful Penelope. She's nomming on some Timothy hay right now. They actually need to eat 2 to 3 times their weight in hay every single day. So even for a tiny bunny such as her, and she is tiny, she's probably weighs somewhere around 2 to 3 pounds, maybe. And that's pushing it. She's absolutely adorable. She's so cute. All right. Oh, let's see if we can scroll up a little bit. All right. And I am going to make sure that this is also in this next part so that you guys can follow along a little bit. We are going to take that break soon. Alright. We're getting hydrated. Aww. She's so cute. Pooping everywhere. We gotta go. They actually can poop 200 to 300 times a day. So she knows we're talking about her poops. No, are we gonna get some binkies? We might get some binkies. That would be the best. Oh, what is she doing? She's so funny. Oh, Bunny Cam's the best thing we ever came up with. She's staring at me like, what is going on? Next, we're gonna start coming up with little voices. What kind of voice do you imagine her to have? Oh, she's staring right at us too. I always imagine that these bunnies are like trying to figure out how to conquer the world. Look at her periscoping like that. Looking at how she could get into some trouble. You gotta love it. Just doing a little stretching and stuff. All right, so yeah, for our first chapter, we are going to review some grammar, punctuation, readability. Is your verb choices consistent? Is your POV consistent as well? These are all types of things that you're going to be spending the next 10 minutes looking at. So we're not quite there yet, but we are getting there. So for 10 minutes, review your first chapter for grammar, punctuation, and readability. I like to read out loud when I'm doing this because that kind of helps me catch most of the stuff. I am terrible at grammar though, so I do rely on things like Grammarly, and I'll be showing you autocrit soon. You get a lot of work done during autocrit. All right. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's do this. All right. A stiff black bear stuffed animal tickled my nose, situated just a few inches in front of my face. I kept my head down, tried not to breathe loud, as I heard the slow wobble creak of the hardwood floor just a foot away. All right, that makes sense. All right, it was still here. It blew its nose. I could feel it splatter against my left shoulder, but I dared not to wipe it, even as it bubbled on my skin in a chemical reaction. I prayed I was the only one who could smell my burnt flesh. It shuffled to my right. My imagination was wreaking havoc on my heart. I wondered if it was staring into the pile of toys, knowing I was here, and pondering how to tear my jugular out before I could react. All right. The only thing that I have a question about is blew its nose. I have to remember whether or not, because we know it's possessive, and then with its, the possessive one doesn't have the apostrophe, which I always mix up because it's the only one that's kind of backwards. It is, there's apostrophe. So we're good on this one. Okay. Then all right. Let's see. I had an active imagination, and that is what held me frozen. I've seen the monsters tear people apart. So before I go any further, I do want to make sure that I do a trigger warning. There'll be a trigger warning on the screen later on, but I'm going to just skip past this part just for the people that are listening in, and just move on to the next part of reading out loud. And when I'm working on the editings, you can choose not to listen in during that time. All right. We'll make sure that there's blue. Just because I like to look at it. I know I'm procrastinating. I'm good at that. Okay. I've seen the monsters tear people apart, hear their scream. This monster, I imagine it stood at least 6 feet tall. They all had broad shoulders and massive muscles. They stood on 2 feet like us, but sometimes ran on all four like a gorilla. Their faces were inhuman, more like a bear than a person. All over its body, they have silver and black hair like a husky. Its lips probably were stark black and 3 times the size it should have been. It was the eyes that shocked me the most. They had milky white eyes with thick black around like eyeliner. That doesn't really sound that sounds really wobbly. Didn't really run right. They had milky white eyes with thick black around like eyeliner. White eyes with thick black. For reminding me of eyeliner. How about that? They always had milky white eyes with thick black fur, reminding me of eyeliner. Lined with thick black. Alright. That sounds better. My assumption was that this one was probably its twin. Its face could be rounder or broader, but most of the monsters looked the same. Alright. Overall, I'd say it flows pretty good. Alright. Please don't hesitate to ask questions if you guys have any. I don't know if I can answer it or not, but maybe I can. Alright. About 5 more minutes left of the sprint, guys. I waited 6 times longer than I should have. That was my trick for surviving so long. They seemed to notice movement more than anything. As long as I was hidden and didn't move, they ignored me. When my nerves couldn't handle the wait any longer, I moved my head achingly slow. I wouldn't glance around even a bit until my head was tilted enough to see the room. People have been caught looking around. Yes, it seems like it works really well. People have been caught looking around, and even the movement of your eyes could give you away. Okay. My head tilted enough so I could see the room, barely. I glanced to see if it was still in the room. It wasn't. I was alone. I grabbed my ointment from my waist bag and used, I think that's the wrong waist. We're already finding some things. Waist bag. And used the pink unicorn's bandana to wipe the nose goo from my shoulder. We'll skip the next part. Alright. I glanced at the door and the windows. The windows were shuttered closed, but I could see the trace of the sun going down. The door taunted me as it stood wide open. I could see down part of the hall. It was empty. I could hear how loud my breath. I had a choice. I could hear how loud my breath. I had a choice. That's a weird, clunky sentence. We definitely need to work on that one. Maybe just, it was two sentences and we're missing some punctuation. I had a choice. I could stay here or find another better hiding place. I came up here looking for a vending machine for food or water, but it was empty. I was tempted to stay here for a bit and then make my way up another floor. I heard there were VIP offices up there. They might have an actual kitchen with real food. My stomach grumbled loudly. I cringed. That would be really scary, right? So, all right. We're going to skip a few of these sections here. Two deep breaths was all the time I was willing to give. After slipping the medicine back into my waist bag, I slithered out of my spot. I was not wearing any shoes so that I would make no noise as I moved. My movements were not ballet-like. My legs were stiff and awkward from sitting for too long. Let's do 2. For too long. One day that weakness will probably kill me. Not today. Instead, I crept along the hall and down 2 floors. I was in the last standing skyscraper in this city. I slipped onto the 17th floor and into a favorite closet of mine. This closet had a small opening caused by a projectile piercing the outer wall. The building still stood, but I had a great spot to look into the world. When it was cold, I stuffed a blanket into the hole. When it was hot, sometimes I sat against it and let the streams of air cool me. When the world burned, I watched safely with a front row seat. Okay. Makes sense. So far, I'm thinking found a few things here and there that was some punctuation and stuff like that. All right. Now we can add another, maybe we'll get another another paragraph done. All right, let's try another paragraph. Today the world felt apprehensive. Different creatures wandered around the world. I didn't know why or how it happened. One day, Mom asked me to drop off a package at a nearby building. Suddenly, the building flooded with monsters. Luckily, I was in the bathrooms when I heard the first scream. I hid in the cabinets under the sinks and didn't leave until there were no more noises. I drank the droplets of water directly from the pipe, tasting of rust, but you drink what you have when you're thirsty enough. That paragraph definitely feels more clunky, doesn't it? Today, the world felt apprehensive. Different creatures wandered around the world. How would she know that they're around the world? All right, we are on our break. And definitely make sure that you are taking these breaks, because when you're doing edits, your brain will need the breaks. So if you want to say hi in the chats or in the comment sections, feel free, and we will enjoy Bunny Cam. We'll hydrate, drinking some water, and then we'll head back into doing some editing. So we have five minutes of shenanigans. Oh, we got bunny baths. How do you not just love that? Bunny says self-care is important, especially little bunny head baths. Oh. Definitely drink some water. Oh, she is really digging in there too. Gotta be clean. Oh, she's just the cutest. She says, "I dirty right here." And they gotta be they're very, very clean animals. They cannot people should not ever give their bunnies a bath in water without a vet directing them, because that can actually scare a bunny to death. It's a very scary thing for them. They are prey animals, and yeah. So this cleaning that they do is very important. And because they do lick their furs and stuff, so you can see a little line kind of going down her side there. That's actually from her molt. She is molting, and they go through a molt every 3 to 4 months or so. And whenever they're molting, if they lick that area, they can actually digest some of the fibers, and that can cause a blockage. So I always end up giving a little bit of critical care, which it gives them just a little extra fiber during those times. Oh, we have somebody who just popped in. The Real Salties. Hello. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying Bunny Cam. We're on a break before we go back into editing. We have about 2 minutes left of our break or so. This is Penelope. She is the markings on her face is more of a seal point, and she is probably a mini satin as far as her breed, but we're really not sure. But she does have that satin fur. Oh, she could also have part Himalayan, because that's very common markings as well. But yeah, just the way her coat is. Beautiful, beautiful bunny. All right, we have about a minute left of our break now. So our next step that we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing our word choices. This is time to break out your thesaurus. We are going to take it sentence by sentence. I'm also going to be speaking through this prompt so you can understand what I do. I have posted some examples of words to delete and phrases to delete and things like that. But for this next prompt, I'm actually going to be using something called autocrit, and I'll show you that when we get to it. But let's talk about the types of phrases that I'll be removing. I can do that just for a moment. So here is a nice little list of things that are they're often overused. You want to use action verbs, limit your adjectives, avoid cliches, and avoid overused phrases. So now I'm going to, since we are now in our sprint, the sprint's going to be 20 minutes, and I am going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, this is what AutoCrit looks like. And I am reviewing just my first chapter. I'm going to run a summary report. Now it tells me my overall score is 73.33. I don't really pay too much attention to that. And what we've already done is we've looked at pacing. We've already looked at our what was some of the other things, readability, and we did a little bit of grammar as well. We might still pop in there once we're done with some of this editing. But I'm going to pop over to strong writing. We're going to go into passive indicators. So what's cool about this program is it will actually show you anytime that you have used a passive verb or passive phrasing, which would be a auxiliary verb with a past participle. And I have way too many. I have apparently 80 of them, which is pretty much, I'm consistent. I generally have about anywhere between an 80 and 100. I'm terrible about it. And was is definitely a crutch word for me. So if you notice that, I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and we have was, wasn't, and were. It tells you exactly how many of them you have and how many they recommend that you remove. I will do my best. Like this one says 44 times they use the word was. We will do our best because that's what we are here to do. I like to focus on just one at a time. So we're going to focus on wasn't. All right. So, and some of them will need to stay. So, all right. So it looks like there's two different sections where I use the word wasn't up here. When my head tilted enough so I could see the room barely, I glanced to see if it was still in the room. It wasn't. I was alone. We could either choose to take out that sentence, it wasn't, and see if it stays, if the impact is the same. I think it was Stephen King who said that every single word, every single sentence should have a reason for being there. And if it doesn't have a reason for being there, it shouldn't be there. I feel like in this case, even though it's a little repetitive, I feel like it is more impactful if it stays. So I glanced to see if it was still in the room. It wasn't. I was alone. There's a reason why I had that in there. So I like that one a lot, and I really only need to remove one of these wasn'ts. So I'm going to go take a look at my other one and see if maybe that's a better choice for removing. All right. The secretary fell about 10 feet from the door. I watched horrified, knowing she wasn't going to make it. Is there another way to say this? Knowing she wasn't going to make it. I watched horrified, knowing she wasn't going to make it. I'm sure there's another way to make it. Let's see. Another way we can say this. I watched horrified, knowing she wouldn't make it. She wouldn't make it. Knowing she wouldn't make it. All right, we got rid of one. All right. And sometimes this happens to me a lot too, is sometimes I'll change it And so I run this report many times. Each time I make a change, I go over to save, I click on save, and then I rerun it. I'm not going to rerun it just yet, but I would rerun it later after I'm done doing a whole bunch of these edits. I'll rerun it to see how I'm doing. And sometimes there's new problems for me to have to adjust. So don't worry. This part's very, very slow. On average, I take, well, this morning I spent about 4 hours on chapter 2. So, or no, yesterday was chapter 2. Chapter 3 today. I spent 4 hours on chapter 3. So that was fun. So, okay. Don't procrastinate, Coral. You got this. I know it's your crutch word, but you can do this. All right. Only it was still here. I could feel it splatter against my left shoulder, but I dared not to wipe it, even as it bubbled on my skin in a chemical reaction. I prayed I was the only one that could smell my burnt flesh. I prayed. Hoping. Let's see. Why is this so hard? My imagination wrecked. See, we can do this one. This one's an easy change. My imagination wrecked havoc. So that one's easy. I wondered if it stared. Into the pile of clothes. So, ooh, did I misspell stared? No, I didn't. Okay. Knowing I was there. So as you can see, there's still some in there. Apparently remove comma. And pondered. Pondered how to tear my jugular out. It's pondering, but pondered. Because we want to make sure our tenses are correct. And I tend to do that a lot. I'll do a passive verb, and then later on there'll be a future tense verb later on, or an action verb kind of later on. And it's kind of something that I do that sentence structure a lot. So, all right. And now it's asking me to add a comma. Sometimes these things can be a little crazy. All right. So that's not bad. We got rid of 2 was's, 5 down to 3 for that paragraph. I will take it. Maybe I'll go back and see if I can remove more was's. I'm not gonna. All right. It was the eyes that shocked me the most. The eyes shocked me the most. Say the eyes. The eyes. We want to take away that. That is another crutch word. So, the eyes shocked me the most. They always had milky white eyes with thick black fur. How did I say it? I need to check how I did it on that other one. All right, hold on. Let's go back to this. We're just going to go up and verify, because I think we had made a small change. Thick black. Where is it? We are almost there. With thick black fur reminding me of eyeliner. So with thick black fur reminding me of eyeliner. So with thick black fur reminding me of eyeliner. I like that better. It's a much better sentence. Assumption, and we're going to get rid of that again because that is another crutch word. my assumption, this one probably looked like all the others. I don't like this other, because one person was reading it before. I had some people giving me input, and they said that that sentence, that it looked like its twin, was really confusing. They wanted to know which twin, and so that makes sense to me. So we are getting rid of it. Chuck it out. Now, don't worry, I do have my original chapter 1 safely in my archive. So anything that we move around or whatever, delete, is just being changed on this copy. And I have it completely separate. And so don't worry about doing some drastic changes. So we actually got rid of all of our wases in this one, which is fantastic. Give ourselves a small clap for that one. All right, so now I waited 6 times longer than I should have. That was my trick for surviving so long. That was, again, this is something that was, or something that is an impactful statement, so I'm probably going to keep that was. They seem to notice movement more than anything else, as long as I stayed hidden. So I could get rid of was here. As long as I stayed hidden and didn't move, they ignored me. When my nerves couldn't handle the weight any longer, I moved my head achingly slow. I wouldn't glance around even a bit until my head tilted enough to see the room. So again, get rid of that was. So now let's reread this. I waited 6 times longer than I should have. That was my trick for surviving so long. They seemed to notice movement more than anything. As long as I stayed hidden and didn't move, they ignored me. When my nerves couldn't handle the weight any longer, I moved my head achingly slow. I wouldn't glance around even a bit until my head tilted enough to see the room. People have been caught looking around, and even the movement of your eyes could give you away. Again, she's a teenager, so she is making a lot of assumptions here, but we're okay with that. When my head tilted enough so I could see the room, barely, I glanced to see if it was still in the room. It wasn't. I was alone. I glanced to see if it was still in the room. See if it lurked in the room. Let's see that. Lurked, maybe. It lurked in the room. Ooh. Sometimes it does this. All right. Lurked in the room. See if it lurked in the room. It wasn't. I was alone. I like that. That was that. So we got rid of one was. Grab my ointment from my waist bag. I'm just gonna say maybe I will keep. This is again the waist bag that I misspelled. So waist bag, and use the pink unicorn bandana to wipe the nose goo from my shoulder. And inches of my skin came off with it, making divots in my flesh. I'm going to say fresh divots. Fresh divots in my flesh, because she has multiple divots. I fought back both my tears and any utters of pain out of fear it would bring the monster again. We're going to get rid of that. We don't like the word that. This one I do not. I disagree with, so we're just gonna dismiss it. We do not agree with that one. Okay. Now you can see why it takes me 4 hours. All right. I glanced at the door and windows. The windows were shuttered closed, but I could see a trace of the sun going down. The door taunted me as it stood wide open. I could see down part of the hall. It was empty. You would just say, empty. Maybe. I could hear how loud my breath. Yeah, I hate this sentence. I could hear my breath. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it. I really hate this sentence. All right, empty. I had a choice. I could stay here or find another better hiding place. I came up here looking for a vending machine for food or water, but it was empty. I was tempted to stay here for a bit and then make my way up another floor. Sorry, I keep hitting my thing. Look at me being... All right, tempted. The idea tempted me to stay here for a bit. And make my way up another floor. I heard there were VIP offices up there. Ugh. We do not like this at all, but we got rid of some wases. They might have an actual chicken. They might have an actual chicken instead of a kitchen. All right. They might have an actual kitchen with real food. My stomach grumbled loudly. I cringed. I would cringe too. I'm just saying. That grumble bad. I'm going to say an idea tempted me to stay here for a bit, then make my way up another floor. I heard there were VIP offices up there. Maybe that might tempt me to stay. Okay. As I rubbed the ointment on the new pits in my skin, I knew I had to move. I tried not to bite the inside of my cheek in pain. 2 deep breaths was all the time I was willing to give. So we got some wases here. Two deep breaths were all the time I was willing to give. All the time I was willing to give. Maybe. We'll see. After slipping the medicine back into my waist bag, I slithered out of my spot. I was not wearing any shoes. So that I'm just going to say I went shoeless. Because I do not like this clunky sentence. Here's the sentence. I was not wearing any shoes so that I would make no noise as I moved. This is a horrible sentence. I moved shoeless. Chose shoeless. So I would shoelessly. No, I chose shoeless. Why is this all red? Take that out. Chose to be shoeless, so I would make So I wouldn't make noise as I moved. My movements were not ballet-like. My legs were stiff and awkward from sitting for so long. All right. And that is time. So we are going to stop sharing real quick. All right. Woo, we are on our break. Take a 5-minute break. If you want to say hi in the chat or in the comments section, please feel free. We have a bunny cam. Oh, I hope you guys... I need bunny after all of that. We haven't even made it out of the was's. My crutch words are definitely the bane of my existence, which is why we have bunnies. Because bunnies are not the bane of our existence. We love bunnies. They make me happy. I can't help it. You know, sometimes when I'm feeling really stressed out, I just go over there and sit and pet them, and instantly I feel better. Oh, we got some stretches. Little bunny butt. She's so cute. All right. Don't forget to hydrate, you guys. And I'm going to go back in and just click save. Otherwise, it would have drove me crazy. Oh no, it's not saved. So always make sure you saved your work. Because heaven forbid doing all of that work and then disappearing. I would cry. And there's no shame in that. Oh my goodness. Shh, Penelope, you're so cute. Just stop. So we cleared out a lot of her toys and stuff because of the fact that we wanted to make sure that you guys could see what she's doing. Obviously, she is having some fun though with her hay and exploring around for little bits of... They're actually looking for like the tips of the hay. I love it. That reminds me of, sorry, she just grabbed that strand. It reminds me of like Lady and the Tramp. You just need another bunny to share that with. Nom, 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 nom. Aww, the little paws. Being so proper. All right, so don't worry. This time we're going to break out our thesaurus again, and we're going to go sentence by sentence again. I am going to speak through this prompt as well, so you can understand what I'm doing. We're going to work through getting rid of some of our adverbs. Basically, you get rid of the adverb and the sentence doesn't change. You should remove it. If you remove it and you can't find a better way to write the sentence, then you can keep it. But we're trying to get rid of useless words here. So kind of similar to what we did in the last prompt, we're going to do again. We're going to spend 10 minutes and just get rid of adverbs. Now, I know that we are not done with what we were doing, but don't worry, I'll go back to it after the show. So I am going to share my screen. Going back into it. All right. And you notice that there's a tab for adverbs. All right. Adverbs. All right. Apparently have 19, which is not bad. I mean, 19's not bad. Looks like the word that I use a lot is probably, and I see why. She's making a lot of assumptions here. But let's see if that third section. So we have right here, it's lips probably were a stark black and 3 times the size it should have been. And then right here, my assumption is this one probably looked like all the others. She's making assumptions, which is why I put probably there. I may end up taking note. One day, that weakness will probably kill me. I'm going to say may kill me. One day, that weakness may kill me. There we go. We've already removed one. Now let's go back up. I imagine its lips were stark. Lips looked stark black, 3 times the size it should have been. I think that is just a better sentence. I imagined, because we're explaining the fact that she's not actually looking at this one because she is too scared to move. So that's the reason why I had the word probably. So now I'm down to 1 probably, which is a good thing. Now let's see some of these other ones. Now I'm going to keep this 1 probably because I think it does help. I might change it later, but for right now, we'll keep it. All right, immediately. She saw me immediately. So maybe instead, we'll just put right away. She saw me right away. Done. Immediately it's gone. Sufficiently, let's see. It was close enough to the stairs that I could traverse the building and bathrooms while being sufficiently secure that monsters just walked by it. Well, I wonder if we get rid of it. I'll secure that monsters just walk by it. I think it kind of stays the same. I might add it back. It was close enough, especially since I'm going to be rewriting this sentence to get rid of the was's, which is why I start with those passive indicators, because a lot of times I get rid of some of these adverbs out. All right, but I think for now we can keep that one. Thereafter. Shortly thereafter. I love it. It's only 1 time. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We can keep it. Again with shortly. It's another one. I mean, they're right next to each other. And, you know, if I ever get it edited by an editor, they'll probably want me to get rid of it. But I'm going to fight for it because I think it's such a fun sentence. I found my favorite hiding spot shortly thereafter. I just love it. I know, it's a geeky thing. Okay, partially. And partially hoped. And hoped. Okay, I was too scared to flush, so I didn't. And partially hoped the smells kept the monsters away. I was too scared to flush, so I didn't. And hoped the smells keep... I think you can get rid of it, and it still says, I mean, the sentence still stays the same. And hope the smells kept the monsters away. I mean, I see why I put partially in there, you know, which kind of tell them, you know, hey, this is obviously not right, but, you know, it is what it is. We like it, but I'm gonna take it out because it's better. All right, I closed the door, laying on the floor, silently crying until I couldn't any longer. I closed the door, laying on the floor, crying until I couldn't any longer. The silent part, silent crying. Well, maybe we could just say silent crying until silent crying. Can you do that? Silent crying until I couldn't any longer. Because I think the silent part is the important part. Because remember, she said earlier that sound killed you. So that is something she would certainly... Oop, and this is going to stay on there until I get rid of it. So hold on. And then we'll address already. Silent crying until I couldn't any longer. All right. The beast roared while slipping on the glass. She was already running out of the room. I kind of love it there. I'm going to keep it. All right, unfortunately, let's see. All right, unfortunately, one of her knees had shredded, making her, and I would say one of her pant knees, because it's not necessarily, well, no, her knee was shredded too. So maybe her knee was shredded. Unfortunately, one of her knees had shredded. One of her knees had shredded. I kind of feel like that's important. Let's keep it. All right. Yeah, let's keep it. Let's go on to the next one. Barely. All right. I could see the room. Barely. Maybe I could just say inch by inch. To see the room inch by inch. Inch by inch. There we go. I mean, barely have impact, but inch by inch, that works too. All right, the person was overly plump, and their fat seemed to be a delicacy. All right. I like that. I think it sounds nice. All right. I drank the droplets of water directly from the pipe. I drank the droplets of water from the pipe. You can delete it and it would keep the same. It still makes sense, right? I drank the droplets of water from the pipe. I'm trying to say that she's drinking from the pipe, like, instead of drinking it from the sink. So I think that's still clear by getting rid of directly. All right, maybe luck. No, that one definitely has to stay. All right, how about suddenly? Yeah, I'm gonna keep that one too. I watched safe with a front row seat. We are going to do safe. loudly. My stomach grumbled loud. Cringed. Sometimes that works. All right. But mostly they died. I like that one. All right. So we started with 19. Let's see how many of them are left. So we're going to save this real quick. And then really quickly, I am going to rerun the summary report, and we will go in and see how many adverbs we had got rid of. And the answer is 9. Awesome. Awesome work. What a great way to end this, too. Awesome. All right. Pens down, save your work, give yourself a pat on the back. You've done so much. It doesn't feel like it, but you have. You've done a lot. So your homework is to keep working on individual chapters. We are going to be doing this for the rest of December. So this is what we're going to be doing chapter by chapter, just taking it line by line, and we're just going to go through and do it every single time. Make sure you first take a look at your overall structure of your chapter. Does each part move the plot forward, or your character arcs? Archive everything so that it doesn't, you don't have to worry about, what it is. Then work on your grammar, readability, punctuation. Lastly, get rid of your useless words. I spend literally hours just on paragraphs, so take your time. Now, next Saturday, we will continue to look at these individual chapters. Saturday, December 18th, 1 p.m., we will continue the edit process. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to give a huge thank you to producer David McGinnis, Tabletop Audio for their amazing, amazing music. Please stop by their website. They have a link to their Patreon if you want to support them. And of course, to NaNoWriMo.org and Autocrit.com for their amazing program. Links to all of our social media are found in the description. So thank you guys all for joining us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.